We are green across the board. Fed leaves interest rates unchanged amid uncertain market outlook, and Bitcoin is becoming an institutional hedge and geopolitical digital reserve. My name is Obi. I'm a prop trader from HashEdge, and I'm here to give you daily Bitcoin and crypto market analysis so that we can have an edge in order to make a trade and to benefit from the upswing and the volatility that exists in the cryptocurrency market. Right now, we just jump straight into it. I know nowadays we have been looking at it. A lot of us have become on the go learning about macroeconomics, but it is necessary because at the end of the day, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets exist within the economic market structure, and we have to pay attention to what the Fed is doing, what institutions are doing, how the money printer and how the Fed and the Treasury markets, how they affect money flows and liquidity. Because no matter what, that's how our prices, and that's what pumps the price in any market, specifically crypto markets that we are paying attention to. So we just jump right into it because we were keenly looking at Jerome Powell's speech and the FOMC minutes from yesterday, which, of course, like I stated, it has left interest rates unchanged, nothing moving across the board. But we pay attention to a lot of things Jerome Powell said, a lot of comments he made that will be specific, and it will inform us further to take a better trade and to position ourselves to understand where the markets might be moving from here, moving forward in the near term. So let's just jump right into it. We first go through a reel of how he started his speech. Let's go.
Good afternoon.
Of course, everything pumped now because we know this is what happened.
Inflation has come down a great deal, but has been running somewhat above our 2% longer run objective. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged. The risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation appear to have risen, and we believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments.
So, a timely way, the Fed chair, what was I find quite interesting is that the Federal Chairman Jerome Powell said wait and see 6 times in the first 12 minutes of his press conference. He's not thinking about interest rate cuts. He's also written here breaking. He said Jerome Powell himself said the Fed does not need to be in a hurry to adjust interest rates. There is so much we don't know. We are in a good position to wait and see. Again, wait and see approach. So we see there's a lot of wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. As traders also, we wait and see a lot, so we are used to this. And you see a lot of markets continue to price in a total of 3 interest rate cuts in 2025 after the Fed decision. Then Trump is saying this is just speaking on the China, which we'll cover later. The Fed Chair Jerome Powell said they are not going to make any progress. We won't make progress on goals this year if tariffs stay. So it's going against the narrative of the tariffs and the Trump tariffs. And he also says that the U.S. economy is resilient and doing fairly well. He also said if tariffs are not reduced, it can lead to a rise in inflation, a slowdown in economic growth, and an increase in unemployment. And he also said the inflation has come down a great deal. So all this is what he said, which has left rates unchanged at 4.2% to 4.5%, despite even the pressure from Trump. And amid all this, and he cited a stronger economic growth and stable labor market. So you see all these views and all this is leading to, even despite the interest rates being unchanged and all the sentiment he has dropped out there in the markets in the press conference yesterday, that has even crypto has managed to avoid that, and Bitcoin has managed to avoid that while even pumping Bitcoin price after that. Of course, thanks to strong Bitcoin ETF inflows and around 5.13 billion has poured into Bitcoin ETFs as a bullish. And you can see over here in April, since April 16th, bullish 5.13 billion in net flows in Bitcoin ETFs has been flowing, and this is showing even despite the FOMC outcome, there's been inflows from institutional players getting into the Bitcoin, and you see also stating the same thing, which is even surpassing 6.5 billion or SPDR Gold Trust. And Bitcoin seems to be gaining a lot of serious ground with institutional flows. Not only institutions, being a geopolitical digital reserve from a lot of government entities. And you see now we reported New Hampshire being the first US state to enact a law to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now we have a second US state, Arizona, also enacting a law to establish strategic Bitcoin reserve. Also, you see South Korean President frontrunner Lee Jae-myung vying to approve spot Bitcoin ETFs and pledges to cut crypto exchange transaction fees if elected next month. So you can see all this, they are coming in droves. A lot of governments, a lot of appointees and appointed members, elected members also of a lot of governments around the world are touting Bitcoin as the next best thing and going to be using Bitcoin as a fuel, as a political narrative. So Bitcoin is now turning to that kind of asset whereby it's going from regular stockpile, reserve, even also going to be used as a political narrative for people who are trying to achieve elected office. Now you see also Martini Guy is also even reporting. Michael Saylor also believes that over 700 public companies will buy Bitcoin next year. Of course, following the MicroStrategy playbook of companies, public listed companies, having Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And you see Vivek Ramaswamy, the former presidential candidate in America, Strive CEO, just revealed how they will buy billions of Bitcoin. So you see other institutions are also saying it. Another institution, Fidelity, $5 trillion worth, just urge every public company to buy Bitcoin. So you see a lot of institutions are in droves coming, encouraging others to get into this space. We know about Stripe, we know about so many publicly listed companies already in droves buying Bitcoin and keeping Bitcoin on their balance sheets. When will you, as retail, jump in this game and be ahead of the curve to anticipate what is coming? This new, it is right here, ready for us to see. We just have to pay attention. That's why we show up every day, to take advantage of this. Of course, as traders, there's volatility in all of these swings, and that's what we are here for, and that's what we are going to take advantage of, 100%. Now we move on to the speech and comments made by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
We believe that the United States should be the premier destination for digital assets, and as members of this committee and the Senate are attempting to do, create good market structure around that, so that U.S. best practices are used around the world.
And that's really the point, right, is having American U.S. best practices to sort of set the pace for others to follow, rather than us trying to fill in the holes that others that may be created as others set that pace.
Yes, sir. And also that digital assets are an important source of innovation that will drive that can drive usage of the U.S. dollar around the world, as with stablecoin legislation. There is speculation that there may be up to $2 trillion of demand over the next few years for U.S. government securities from digital assets.
So digital assets is going to be important, and they want to make US the premier destination for digital assets. Of course, this is going to come with tokenization of everything and everything. So we are bullish on the RWA space. We are bullish on stable coins. We are bullish on the whole crypto market as a whole, to be honest. Layer ones, layer twos, select the layer twos. Of course, not all layer ones also. And just coming to layer ones, as we are speaking of layer ones, we look at SUI and at Mescaline Labs, which is the is the development side um of SUI network. They are the ones controlling and developing on the building, and they are the ones that build the SUI network. They are about to kickstart a movement that is going to bring millions and millions of users to SUI network. So SUI network is going to, I'm really, really bullish on the SUI network, and we'll take a look at what the SUI chart is also saying. And just to end up our fundamental and news, you see Disney is planning to build Middle East first theme park in Abu Dhabi. So that's also is showing a lot of bullish momentum in the Middle East, and a lot of things moving from the west to the east, and making us know like a lot of trends are shifting in finance, in traditional finance, to the new world, from the old world, which is the west, to the new world, which is the east, and a lot of changes. And we are in the transition stage of a lot of changes in the world. This is where we can take advantage, and there's going to be a lot of volatility. And for us as traders, this is how we can make a lot of money and build generational wealth. Now, looking at the Bitcoin USD perpetual chart, you can see on the daily chart, Bitcoin pumped overnight after the FOMC meeting, and it pumped about 3%, and that was a gigantic. You can see the gigantic candle which it pumped, leading to this massive surge. And now, above our box trend range, we seem to be approaching the $99,000 levels, which we have drawn in our trend line here. So we'll be expecting somewhat of a pullback once we reach these levels. We still remain cautious, because it will be healthy for us to get a pullback. I know I've been saying that time and time again, but this was unexpected pump. On the RSI, we seem to be approaching the overbought levels, so that should give us some caution that we should run out of steam anytime soon. Of course, today is Thursday. We are nearing the weekend, and weekend always bring a low volatility and lack of liquidity in the market. So we expect this to run out of steam anytime soon, and anticipating a reverse to the downside in the near short term. Looking at Solana, you see pretty much the same thing. It looks it's trying to pump, but it has not been able to give that oomph to go upwards. But we can remain cautious and we watch it. It looks also in this range bound for since April 24th, and same thing is just been doing the same thing over and over again. RSI looks to be pointing upwards. There looks to be a decrease in the volume, as you can see down here, in the volume of liquidity in Solana. So Solana just looking the same and not acting based on this. So it is similar to a lot of altcoins, which is just moving on they're about 2% move across the board. You can see that happening across the board. And we see SUI, which Adeni spoke of yesterday, just earlier, that we reported earlier here. He's talking about SUI network and a lot of bullish things happening on the SUI network. So you can see this is reflected on the chart. And right now, SUI also made a move similar to the Bitcoin chart with a strong gigantic candle to the upside, recovering from the pullback it has had recently to about $3.1, and now we are about $3.5. And we see that we'll be watching what will happen moving forward, although I'll be expecting further pullback and further retest of this support at $3.2 or $3.5, $3.4 levels. You see the RSI looks to be pointing upward, so we'll be watching what the SUI chart will be giving us in the near time. Looking at the fear and greed index, you can see we are back in free zones as at yesterday. Yesterday we were in higher free zones. Now we are lower than that at 65 levels. So we see, looking at the crypto market as a whole and the whole altcoin market, you can see almost everything is green. Almost nothing is even red at the moment, although a few very small number is in bearish times right now. What jumps up to us is 19.4% on EOS, Pi at 9.9%, Stacks at 12.3%, Cake at 6.5%, Theta at 8.5%, SUI, of course, we saw it with the gigantic pump at 7%, IOTA at 8.4%, Injective at 8%, Pepe at 7.9%. So you see all this is bullish. A lot of things is bullish across the board, bullish narratives across the board, bullish sentiment across the board, which maybe further along the line will be reflected in the fear and greed index, with people jumping into more greed zones and getting more greedy. But we see the Bitcoin chart, everything is pumping, everybody looks happy after this FOMC speech. So the FOMC speech and Jerome Powell's press conference gave us a bullish momentum and a jump to the upside. So you see that reflected in the charts. Although I don't trust this upside move, and I'll be expecting, so I remain cautious right now. I know I was anticipating a pullback to lows of 90,000, 88,000 thereabouts, and a push to about 93,000 at least for support. That will give us 92,000. That will give us a much more confident approach in order for us to take any trade. So I'm still cautious. I still watch it, and I just remain skeptical of this pump. We are approaching, like I said, we are approaching, and we seem to be approaching overbought territory, and that just gives me a lot of cautionary approach to it. I'm still sitting on my hands, taking Jerome Powell's approach, which is the wait and see approach, like he said 6 times during his press conference yesterday. That's what we are doing. We are waiting and seeing, and we let the price action come to us, and that's when we can execute and be more confident. Because one thing about trades is you have to be confident, and you have to have a lot of bullish confluences and bullish narratives that stacks up to make us confident as traders to be able to take that trade confidently and know that we are on the right course. Of course, we can also be wrong, because no one is never right all the time. But once we take the trade, we are confident in our approach, and we let it work for us, and let it speak for us, and let it happen. And we also take a wait and see approach to let it play out. That is what we do. That's why we're here every day, showing you in order to make money from this highly volatile market, because there's money to be made here from zero to Ferrari. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.